I'm Tina Fordham, and you're watching The Navigator, where we talk about the intersection between geopolitics, financial markets, and the business environment. This year has been a year of many elections, and there's been one clear theme cutting across all of them, and that is the extent to which incumbent leaders and parties have been punished at the polls. With only a couple of exceptions, in almost every case, incumbents have been pushed out of office or lost their majority. That was also true in the case of U.S. elections. Donald Trump, again, was slightly underestimated by the polls. He has won a decisive victory, both the national vote and the Electoral College. It isn't a landslide, however, and that's important to appreciate. Kamala Harris did get almost 73 million votes, and that might be an issue if Trump takes a majoritarian approach. What's notable, however, is that Trump's MAGA movement has moved from one associated mainly with white men to a multiracial coalition with a lot of young people. Look at that plus 10 gain in support from 18 to 29-year-olds. What should we expect from Trump 2.0? This is probably the question that we are being asked the most. Well, if we compare to 2016, Trump 1.0, I remember what CEOs and investors were saying at the time, that he was just using campaign rhetoric, the idea of taking Trump seriously but not literally, and the notion that U.S. institutions would constrain Donald Trump and some of his more unorthodox ideas. That's not the case as we head into Trump 2.0, and I think that this message has gotten through. What you see is what you get. Trump intends to enact the radical change that he campaigned upon, and he's got loyal lieutenants who are ready to do that. Not only that, what makes Trump 2.0 so different from the first time around is, at this point, the control of both chambers of Congress, the House and the Senate, plus a majority in support of his agenda in the Supreme Court. We need to take Trump seriously and literally. So who are Trump's loyal lieutenants this time around? One thing that we can observe is the speed with which he is making his appointments. Some have drawn upon some established figures well known to markets. Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, well known to be a China hawk, but someone regarded as quite competent. Other choices are more surprising, like Mike Huckabee as the ambassador to Israel, also going to be quite hawkish in favor of the Israeli war in Gaza, and RFK Jr. as Secretary of Health. What's notable as well is the people who aren't in the White House in terms of cabinet positions, the children of Donald Trump, Don Jr., Ivanka, Jared Kushner, not taking a formal White House role, as well as Elon Musk, who's been ever present by Donald Trump's side in recent weeks and is going to be in charge of what is being called the Department of Government Efficiency. He says he's going to cut $2 trillion. What markets are waiting for the most, however, is going to be the Treasury Secretary. Jamie Dimon is periodically named as a possible candidate. He has taken himself out of the running, saying that he hasn't had a boss for 25 years and isn't going to have one now. At the moment, the front runner is Scott Bessent. What about Trump's day one agenda? On the campaign trail, Trump made a lot of significant statements about things he would do on day one. It's going to be a busy day if he attempts to get around to all of this. But again, we can see the signals that he intends to carry out some of these promises. Ending the war in Ukraine is something that won't happen on day one. Trump has already started having conversations with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. It's going to be difficult to get more aid approved. And so as a consequence, one of the things we're watching right now is what Joe Biden will do in his remaining months in office to increase military aid to Ukraine. Ukraine stands to lose under a Trump administration. Tariffs are being discussed. We think that's most likely to be used as a negotiating tactic. But Trump is coming out strong on this. Markets will be pleased to see an extension of the tax cuts, and with that congressional majority, that can happen. Mass deportation is also a plan that the Trump administration is getting ready to move on. I think that that will be more difficult to execute than is anticipated. It also could have an inflationary effect, but it is something that was quite popular with the electorate. As we always advise you, fortune favors the brave, but chance favors the prepared mind. There is a lot to discuss and to think about in the year ahead as Donald Trump comes out with his policy. But most of all, remember that it isn't just what the United States does in its policy endeavors. We also need to think about how other countries will respond. Retaliation, provocation, tests, all of this is on the agenda for 2025 as well.